Welcome to the Chofetz Chaim said what? Shmiros HaLashon class. Let us start with a Q&A. I actually have quite a few that I saved here that I didn't look at. I'm very excited to be going over it with you. Can everyone hear me well? Okay. This is a good one. I can tell from the title. Okay, is everyone ready? If I wouldn't vent, I'd have to quit. I'm generally happy with my job and the organization I work for. The thing is, when it comes to deadline times, our boss can get snappy and short-tempered. All of us employees tolerate it, but we only get through it by venting to each other when we're snapped at. The knowledge that we all get the same treatment helps a lot. We all feel sure that if we didn't have each other to vent to during these stressful times, we would never be able to make it through. Is it okay that we talk to each other about our boss in this way? Venting ones are so good. I actually had someone privately speak to me about how they have a friend who is, vents to them about a certain friend that they have. And I mean, we can get into that later. But what are your thoughts on this question?
Well, I say to be quiet. I wouldn't talk about it. It's your boss. I mean, you just don't know what's gonna transpire. Like when you talk, something could change. The boss could hear it, and it's just I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't say anything.
All right. Does anyone believe that? Yeah, no, it's a great point. It's a great point. We always have in mind that, it could get back to the speaker and we don't, I mean, there is something that we learned about venting. So I'm wondering, from what we learned about venting, would this be okay?
So not okay.
Not okay. So you're also on the side of not okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So we have two not okays. Does anyone say, well, maybe, I mean, if they need to vent, this is the only way they're going to get through, through the workday and their job, and it keeps morale up. Does anyone think that that's the point to be made?
Prohibited.
I always appreciated this one principal. She was interviewing me, and she was so honest about something. She said, "Okay, if you work at this school and you're in the lunchroom, could you not say gossip about me? Because many times teachers would gossip about the principal. And
oh my gosh!
I just liked her honesty, her vulnerability.
Right. She saw what was coming. Like, okay, so I know you guys might want to, but please don't do it. Okay. So I don't hear anybody saying that they think it's okay. All right. So interesting. Okay, no, that's good. I didn't finish reading it, but we did learn that you could have a one person if you really need to vent to get something off of your chest so that you can function, which it does have one aspect of that. They're saying that they can't technically function without just letting it off. But we did speak, it has to be one person, and they can't believe the information. They just need to be there to be a good listener, and just so that that they're there for you. And it can't be a continual thing. If it is a continual thing, it's just lashon hara. Clearly nothing is working, which is why when someone messaged me, they said, yeah, they're constantly venting to me. And I said, do they only vent to you? And at first they said yes. Later on they said, oh, I think they're also venting to their husband. And I said, well, that's not okay. But first when she said, yeah, just to me, but it's a continual venting. I'm like, well, then the purpose of venting isn't being fulfilled. So I don't think that so I would say it's not okay. Then I sent her a whole thing that the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation sent, and it seemed that my answer was correct, but I just wanted to show the person that it was correct. All right, let's see what the answer is. The Chofetz Chaim seems to permit venting to be able to tolerate difficulties. It appears that if the boss is clearly at fault, venting would certainly be permitted. Did anybody see that coming? Did anyone see that coming? I think we actually did this question before. a really long time ago. It would be better, though, if you focus on how to help yourself in the situation instead of discussing how terrible the boss is. Discuss a way to deal with the situation that will alleviate the stress without wallowing in negative talk. So that would be my perspective, is only if it's going to be constructive can this be permitted. They're saying it's permitted if it's, getting you through it.
Are they saying,
Depersonalize. Sorry?
are they saying it's permitted in the group? I would just
They're saying
wondering.
if it's getting you all through the day, it's permitted. So what we read so far. So it says, depersonalize the issue. The boss is under stress. He doesn't mean it personally. It is a reflection of his issues, etc. Brainstorm together for strategies you can use to deal with the circumstance without having to regularly talk negatively about the boss. So it's saying, rather than saying, oh, we're just talking badly about the boss, let's problem solve. Let's try to figure out a way so that we could all make this work for ourselves and we're not continually having this issue. Did anyone see that coming? Wow, Dad, I think this is the first time you've been incorrect on a question.
Ooh,
What?
I didn't see it either.
What did you say?
The fact is, I think I actually remember this question, but I was like, oh no, that's not permitted. But yeah, they said it is permitted. But I would say, obviously, the Rabbi Zev Smith is the one who reviews these, and I would say trust him. I'm not a Rav. I'm not a rabbi. At the same time, I'd say sometimes when it seems to be a continual thing, it's hard to stay away from the boss versus the issue, and it just is venting about the boss versus problem solving. So I think that's a really good one. Venting is always it's a good one to know more about. All right. Does everyone go with that? Should we do a second one? I always want to do some. I always love these.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's just do one more. Just so much fun. Okay. Can I lie so that they know I care? As an involved and well-connected member of the community, I get calls all the time for help with medical situations, shidduchim, jobs, and school placement. Excuse me. Often, I am so swamped that I can't deal with things right away. When people check back and before I've had a chance to address their issue, I'm afraid saying I didn't do it yet will sound like I don't care. May I say I didn't get through it? I didn't get through it yet instead. Oh, like as if they've started going through it, but I didn't get through it yet. They didn't finish. So they're asking about the phrasing of something and lying. Does anyone remember what we've learned about lying so far? And when it's okay to lie versus when it's not okay to lie?
Well, it doesn't serve a constructive purpose. So I don't know if it would be okay to say that to someone. If someone has asked you to do something for them and you really have not had the time to do so, I believe the best route, of course, is honesty, because then they can have trust in you and you will have trust in them. Because if you keep saying to them, I'm in the middle of it, you're never going to complete anything. And I believe that trust and authenticity are very important in our relationships, especially in communication, especially when someone is reaching out for help, because that means that they're in need of something. And if you can't give that to them, you need to be honest about it.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Does anyone think that it would be allowed? I think just to point out what Shelley just said, she just said there's no constructive purpose in saying twisting the truth, right? They're not, I guess they are lying. And so she's saying, why lie, especially if something is, if something really needs to get done, then why talk around it and say, oh, I didn't fully get through it yet. Like, maybe in this situation, it's okay to say, I'm really busy. I know that what you have is important and I want to be able to go through it and take the time to go through it. And I haven't had the chance right now, but your issue is important to me. It might be better to just be honest versus lying, which, it doesn't seem to really be needed. Does anyone think it would be okay to say this? I didn't get through it yet. because we spoke about when someone is allowed to lie. In general, we say obviously don't lie. Don't lie. That's the first thing. Then you say okay, but, and then there are times when you're allowed to lie for the sake of peace, right? And so would this be lying, for the sake of peace?
Yeah, that's what your sister just said. We were talking about that when, with Avram and Sarah, talking about having a baby.
Ah,
Yeah. And who else did you say?
true. So when Avram and Sarah were having the baby, and then when Sarah said that, are you talking about when Sarah said, oh, but he's too old, when she's talking about
Yep.
Avraham,
And then
but
he's
then
too old.
Hashem left that part out because Hashem didn't want Avram to feel bad, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, that's an amazing point. Even Hashem, he didn't want conflict. He wanted to keep the peace. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mom. That was an amazing point. I like how you brought Torah into it. I mean, this is all Torah, but I mean, straight from the Chumash. Yeah, that's a great point. Hashem even had to in this case, he left out information, but also had to lie in a way to make sure that there was peace between them, right? Especially since the Malch said you're gonna have a baby, and then she's like, he's too old. Like, that's impossible, right? Remember that whole situation, and then Hashem left that information out. Okay, so would this be for the sake of peace?
I think so. If the person never got around to the task, is busy and all that, if that person knows that she or he's going to get to that task like very, very soon, then I think not to say a harsh reality, well, you're a low priority, because it's going to get done maybe the next day.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be like you're not a priority, so I haven't gotten to yet. Sometimes, like even with me, and now I'm working with singles and shidduchim and helping people out. And, I sometimes want to give people the full attention that they deserve. And that may not be right now because I'm working as a teacher, I'm working at my father's office, and I'm working on several other projects. And it's not that it isn't priority, but it's just that it hasn't come up yet, and I also want to be able to have the time to focus on it. So I know, but I totally get what you're saying in the way that you need to maybe don't be so honest, like, hey, yeah, I didn't get to your stuff yet. Yeah, you're not really on the top of my list, so when I get to it, I get to it. So okay, yeah, I definitely see that for sure. Okay, let's see what it says. Although lying is permitted to prevent conflict, so as I stated, is for the sake of peace, but to prevent conflict is definitely a better way of phrasing it. It is allowed only as a last resort. In this situation, you can simply say, I didn't forget about you. I hope to get back to you soon. That's a good way of saying it. So if they're saying in this situation, it's just unnecessary to lie. Okay, but that was still a really good one. I like that. And then we had the conversation about Abraham and Sarah. Good. All right. So we are now in principle 3 of the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And if everyone has the Sefaria app or the Sefer Chofetz Chaim in front of you, then you can look at it under I believe the first section, principle 3. So does anyone want me to send the link to my Sefaria notes? Or you're not really looking at it, you're just listening to me. That's fine too. I don't mind. But
Just looking at your beautiful face.
Ah, shucks, stop it. You're so sweet. Make me blush. Come on. I'm being recorded right now. Okay. Thank you, Shelly. If someone is not alone, okay, well, does anyone remember what we started on last time? We sort of stopped from Apet Slasa, which was speaking before 3. And now we're going right back into the Sefer. And we discussed the first couple parts of Principle 3, but I'll go over them a little bit. I won't go through the entire thing like we did last time, but a little bit. Okay, if someone's not alone, they're careful to speak it only in private and insist that no one reveals the information to the subject they're speaking of. even if he knows that what he would say to the subject's face, or if you actually speak the Lashon Hara to the subject's face. He would say it if he was around or to the subject's face. Even so, it's forbidden, and it's called Lashon Hara. And the Isser is greater if it's to his face. The speaker clothes himself with the trait of brazenness and audacity and arouses more strife. All right, second part. When it is something to be understood in two ways, there could be one way in which there's nothing demeaning about them, and then another way in which it is. Does anyone have an example of that? I gave a little bit of an example, but I want to hear if you guys have any examples. Like you could say something one way, or you could say something and it could be taken two ways. And not, you don't have anything? So quiet. Oh my gosh. The example that I gave was the pretty, well-known example of saying, they have a fire. They always have a fire at their house. And someone comes over and says, who has a fire? And they say, well, they always have a fire. Didn't remember how that could be taken well and how that wouldn't be taken well. And Dad, you can also answer. You don't need to be quiet. And Mom and Shmiz, you guys listen to this stuff all the time.
Okay. You can say on the negative part of it that they can have Shabbat on Shabbat and Yom Tov, they can have fire. So saying always fire, they always have fire, can go both ways.
Right. So they're saying one way is that they always have a lot of guests over. That's an amazing thing. That's a mitzvah. Wonderful. And the bad way could be, there's, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I mean, one example could be, they have a fire even on Shabbos, Chas v'Shalom. Or, they're always eating, they're always doing something, right? And it's not necessarily for a mitzvah. I don't know why I'm blanking on the bad way. I know it's here, and I may have to come back to that. And then we said someone can be expressive with his voice and movements, whereas nothing demeaning is detected with the words, but the real meaning is understood. So like when someone's sarcastic, right? The words themselves are usually nice words. Like they could seem, someone could say, wow, you look great today, and they could be like, oh yeah, you look great today. But with the words saying, wow, you look great today, and being said in a sarcastic way, that could most definitely be taken in a bad way. Even with actions, it doesn't even have to be with words, or it could be your expression, your actions, all right? And the real meaning is demeaning, okay? If the intent is to demean, and it is only the dust of vak lashon hara, it is forbidden. So we discussed that a vak lashon hara isn't lashon hara itself, but it could lead to lashon hara. And Dad, I have a feeling of an example of that. He's at the gym right now. I'm so sorry, Dad. I don't know if he has anything. Okay. Well, if we're saying that a vak lashon hara, it doesn't have to be straight up, you're talking about the person. You just say something like, I'm trying to think of something. Like, oh, yeah, I see that person's always in the teacher's lounge. And then it's like, oh my gosh, they're always in the teacher's lounge. Like, do they not even teach? Do they not even prepare for their classes? Like, oh my gosh, are they just like chilling all the time? They're not. So I would see that as an example. It's not straight up lashon hara. You're not saying that someone did something bad. I mean, it is. But we'd say a vak lashon hara is still lashon hara, right?
Like, Rosh Hashanah, I was a guest. So this is the night of Rosh Hashanah. I said, this is the best soup I've had all year. And it could be taken the wrong way.
That's funny, Daniel.
Very good, very good. Wow, you're doing well today. I feel like you're on a roll.
He's on a roll. I just said it. I said it. Yeah. I said it muted. I forgot that I was muted.
We're all very impressed. I mean, the people on YouTube aren't gonna hear that part, but when we first logged on, I said, anything interesting happened to anybody, just warm up. And then he goes, yeah, any gossip? It's very, very good, very clever. Even if someone does not speak out of hatred and does not intend to demean him, but speaks only in jest from lightheadedness, they use those words. Since these are demeaning words, it is forbidden by the Torah. It is forbidden to speak Lashon Hara even if they do not say the specific person they are speaking of and speaks in general terms. And from that information, the listener can understand who the speaker is referring to. This is Lashon Hara, even if the words themselves are not demeaning, but it could cause harm or taint to his friends and the teller intended with deceit. Chazal call this Lashon Hara in private. So in terms of speaking Lashon Hara and you're not saying the exact person, I know with Elise it's okay to say this, but my siblings and I were younger, we used to always be like, okay, so basically, before we knew, the laws of Shmiros HaLashon, like, oh my gosh, okay, there's this person. I'm not going to tell you who the person is because Lashon Hara, but their hair looks like this. And if you saw them, like, they speak like this. And then you explain everything and you're like, okay, but I didn't say who it was, okay? But then through all the information I'm giving, it's clear who we are referring to. That's not me either. Please remembers the time.
You guys are so cute.
Thanks, Mom. Many modes of men of Lashon Hara, Bali Lashon Hara, God forbid, aka speaking with deceit. I don't know many modes. I think I was writing in shorthand. Example: speaking innocently of friends as if they did not know that it was Lashon Hara is Lashon Hara. Even if no harm comes to the person from this Lashon Hara, meaning when listeners do not accept the words as truth, it is still Lashon Hara and requires atonement. Even if he knew from the beginning that no harm would come to these words, it is forbidden to speak demeaningly. And as I always ask, I go, do we know if any harm is going to come from our words? We don't know. We don't know what harm is going to come from our words. We don't know who we're speaking to. We've had questions before about someone saying, can my sister even speak to me about her annoying landlord? Like, I'm never going to see them. We live across the country, but you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know whose paths are going to cross, if anyone's going to, God forbid, lose a job or a shidduch suggestion or anything. We don't know how it's going to come back around. Like, Hashem works in mysterious ways and is and we think we know everything, but we really don't. Okay. I'm not speaking for everyone. Generalize. I could say that on behalf of myself. Sometimes I feel like I know everything, and I know I don't. Also at the same time. Okay, so if someone sees somebody else who did something or said something, both ben adul mechavero, between man and his friend, and ben adul mamakom, between man and God, they're God-fearing. Oh, and they are God-fearing. Their words or deeds can be judged in good merit, or if the doubt is balanced, and they must be judged for the better in good merit. So if we're saying, I saw someone do this thing, okay, we know that it's Lashon Hara to say someone did something, even if it goes against the Torah. But if it's someone that we know is generally a good person, and we go into a lot more things in which they would need to cross off for it to be okay to give over this information. But sometimes they don't know they're doing something wrong. They're generally a good person, and they had a moment. They're not continuously doing it, right? And we don't even know if they're actually doing the thing, so they need to be judged on the side of merit. And saying even if the doubt is balanced, like, okay, I don't really know if it's good, if it's bad. Okay, judge on the side of merit, unless they are a bad person, God forbid. And we really don't know that, right? It's up to Hashem to judge. Then it says, Chazal say, if one judges his friends on the scales of merit, then Hashem will judge him on the scales of merit, right? And that's really important. I always try to think of that. And even today on the WhatsApp chat, I posted what I feel like is one of the best quotes of all time from the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. which says, oh, where is it? If someone can find it faster than me. Okay, yeah, never mind, I found it. It says, judging someone else does not define who they are. It defines who you are. And I find that to be so great. You know, it doesn't say anything about who they are just by judging a person. And even by judging them favorably, Hashem is going to, in turn, hopefully judge us favorably. And, oh my gosh, time. And, oh, and that before, if one judges someone favorably on the scales of merit, then Hashem will judge him favorably. That's from Vayikra. And the scales of righteousness shall you judge your fellow. Oh, wait, this is from Vayikra. Okay. Even if the thing seems more inclined to the scales of guilt, if there's merit, it is forbidden to judge in the scales of guilt, and you have to give the benefit of the doubt. All right. So if we see someone and we're like, okay, that seems a little off, but a lot of times it's out of character for them, or they don't even know, then we judge them on the scales of merit. Even when the scales of guilt heavily outweigh the merit, no one should rush to shame him because we do not know if he is consistent with the qualifications. And then later we're going to go into the qualifications, but this is a great place to stop because we will be heading into principle 4, which is so great. I mean, all of them are really great, but I'm so excited. So does anyone have any questions?
Okay.
No questions? You sure? Please don't be shy. And if you want to even text me a question, if it's a personal question or just a very general question, please feel free to message me privately. I don't know if everyone maybe has my phone number from the Shul chat, but please do. I would love to answer your questions. People have done it before, and I feel very honored. And if I don't know the answer, I'll look it up and I'll ask a rabbi. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining my class. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank
Dougie.
you.
I hope everybody
you.
has an amazing rest of their evening and a great week. And stay happy because we're supposed to increase our joy because it's
Adar.
Adar. So I hope
Adar.
everyone's very happy.
Thank you for a wonderful class.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
my pleasure.
Thank
Have an
you.
amazing evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.